Hey guys, and welcome to Hearthstone Arena Battles. This is part 2. Let's get started. Now again, this is a post-recorded series. Let me know if you prefer the live recordings to these post-recordings. Just let me know in the comments. I start out with 2 late game cards and 1 early game, but I'm not liking that 3 draw for that really weak Divine Shield card right off the bat. However, I draw into the Cult Master, which is a pretty good early game card because you'll be playing a lot of weaker creatures, and the Healer, which is pretty useless in the beginning, and the Jungle Panther, which is could be good, could be bad.
Greetings.
And then also draw into the Charge card, which I think is a better late game card just because you get that thing behind a taunt towards the end of the game with high damage cards. It's lethal. So I choose just to armor up, especially since I draw into that worthless 5 draw, especially early in the game. So a very subpar hand to start off with. Draw into the 4 cost Charge, which is a pretty nice card. I go ahead and play the Panther just because it does not need a taunt, and it will kind of deter the Priest from playing any early game weak cards since it can easily dispatch them, especially early on. And then I get what I really need, which is the War Axe early on, so I'm pretty excited about that. But I go ahead and play the Charge card just because I know that he has no defenses out right now. And dealing with two pretty high damage cards in the beginning is quite a handful. But unfortunately for me, he plays the Mountain Giant. So now I've got to figure out how the heck am I going to deal with this guy. So what I determine is the best way to deal with these guys is probably to go ahead and just sacrifice these creatures, although I'd like to keep them. It'd be best to get rid of that Mountain Giant now rather than later and get 2 card draws out of the deal. Plus, it should be difficult for him to deal with that 4-2 on the board unless he has, you know, some sort of removal card. He ends up having a removal card, but I did get rid of his Mountain Giant and get 2 cards out of the deal, so I'm not too upset about that. We're pretty much equal at this point. So I go ahead and place the Charge minion down, because I know if I play the Harvest Golem with the Charge, I can go ahead and kill it, because that's a high damage fort. 4 damage is very high early on, and I don't really want to sacrifice any other creatures for that, just to kill that 4 damage, so I place the Harvest Golem down because I know that I can kill it and get an attack on him in the same turn, since it'll charge both of those minions up. Unfortunately, the commander gets Shadow Song, or Shadow Word Pain, which is annoying. But luckily for me, I draw into the Arcanite Reaper, and I really hate that light minion. Oh, that thing. Those priests can buff that thing up and get that thing to a 10-10 or like a 20-20 or all sorts of crazy things I've seen happen with those. So I'll gladly take 5 damage to the face to get rid of that. And that is my recommendation to all you guys who have to play priests because they are so powerful right now. Be sure to get rid of that minion the second you see it. Even if you're going to take a lot of damage, it's way better than letting that thing hang around. And he draws into a second one of those Rifleman cards, which sucks. I draw into his Silence, which is nice to have.
They'll never know what.
I go ahead and play the 3 damage to the other hero, and I'm debating whether or not to heal him or heal myself or not. But I'll gladly sacrifice that second half of the Harvest Golem because that thing is pretty much worthless and will die eventually anyway. And I do end up deciding to heal myself. Now it's starting to look pretty good for me. He's getting pretty low on life. And at the same time, I've had a dominating control of the board this whole game. Still have a 5 damage weapon in my hand to dispatch any, you know, really, really tough creatures he puts out right now. And since I'm at max health, I don't mind taking, you know, 6 or more damage just to get rid of a minion on the board. So it's really my game to lose at this point. So that's always a good position to be in. And then, to my surprise, he plays a heal and a charge card, and then wastes an Ancient Brewmaster on that really weak charge just to put it back in his deck. I don't know if this guy's new at this point, or if he's just not very good. A very confusing play from him, especially that play.
Mind if I roll knee?
Go ahead and hit and kill his creature to get rid of it. At this point, I just need board control so I can continue to lay on the damage, because it's basically over. As long as I control the board from here on out, it's over for him. He's so low on health, and I've got 4 creatures. Just waiting for the end.
My shield for Argus.
So this is it, his last ditch attempt to save himself. But unfortunately for him, I have a silence, and it's basically game over. Just doing the math right now.
Well played.
Do the math, see that he has, or I have the kill. Go ahead and equip the axe, and just finish him off. And he quits. I really hate that. I really hate that. Hence the I will crush you. Anyways, that's game 1. Looking pretty good, minus from part 1, that first game where we got utterly handled. We're looking pretty good right now. 3-1's not too bad of a start. So, on to game 2. And well, technically, it's not game 2. This is game 2 of this part. I think this would actually be game 5. Yeah. And I draw into one of the better starting hands that you can get with the cards that I drafted, plus the Cult Master. So I'm already really excited about this deck. She plays the Leper Gnome, which is probably, in my opinion,
The pleasure is mine.
it's up there with the Loot Hoarder for one of the better starting cards to play, just because it's an automatic board clear for a lot of the stuff you play early game. And in addition to that, you're guaranteed 2 damage to the hero, and possibly 4 most of the time if they can't kill it right when they play it. So, great card.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
He goes ahead and buffs it, which is a good play. Gets a 3/3 on the board. It's only a good play if he or she has absolutely no other cards to play minion-wise, because I'm just going to clear that thing off. So you kind of waste your 1/1, although you do get a 3/3 on the board, because she knows I'm going to have to clear it. I mean, that's still good, but I get the slam off it in the card draw, and unfortunately I have to leave it on the board. I really don't want to, but I do anyways, just because I have no other way of getting rid of it. My main gameplay style with the Warrior is just to have a whole bunch of minions and kind of overwhelm my opponent, and that's how I try to draw when I draft cards in Arena as well. So a lot of early game minions, a lot of early game minion play, coupled with, if I can get them in Arena, I like to have, you know, an ogre or a Stormwind champion or some other sort of strong, just beefy card. And that's the way I like to play. Minions, minions, minions. So I go ahead and play the Fairy Dragon, just to see, kind of to test it out, to see if the daggers can actually hit it. Because I don't know if that's how they work or not. Because they can't be targeted by hero powers. And dagger is a hero power, but it's a weapon in your hand, so I don't know if that would work or not. But she goes ahead and proves that it does, in fact, still hit you. If she plays the dagger hero power and then hits you with it, she can still damage you. So, kind of disappointed in the Fairy Dragon for that. However, she wastes Fan of Knives on a single early game minion, which was kind of bizarre to me, but anyways, that was her choice. Drawn to the Knight, the 3 for 3/3, unless she has Divine Shield out. But for me, I go ahead and play the Commander, just because I know next turn I can really put some heat on her if she cannot eliminate that. And to me, it's worth the risk, especially early on, if I can get minions out with the charge on the next turn. However, she saps it, which isn't the worst thing that can happen. I just have to replay it. But then she plays the Scarlet Crusader. The #1 card I like to see when I have this card. Oh, that is just oh so satisfying. What a card when there's Divine Shields on the board. I can't imagine if you have 2 Divine Shields on the board. That thing would just be one of the more powerful cards in the game. Like, that just is incredible. So I play the charge in addition to that. And now she's kind of forced into a position where she needs to kill the 6/6. But that would leave my Commander on the board, so I can continue just to barrage her with damage. So, really has to make a choice here. Draws another Divine Shield card. I wish that Divine Shield eat on that Blood Knight was a passive, because that would be ridiculous, but it's not. And like I said a minute ago, she made the choice to go ahead and eliminate that 6/6 from play.
What now?
Now I go ahead and place another heavy hitter, the Stranglethorn Tiger, because I want to again force that choice on to my opponent, whether or not to kill the really high damage creature that's going to continue to wail on her, or to kill that charge minion, just because it's only dealing 2 damage at a time, but it's really still creating all these problems for her. Because she's at that point on health at 13 where she needs to stop using her daggers now, and she also can't really use, her poison daggers ability because she can't really spend any more health, and she has to be worried about my weapons at this point. But to my disappointment, I thought she was going to go take the bait and kill the tiger, but she doesn't. She leaves it up because now she's thinking she can get a lot of damage on me and kind of turn the tables, because she has 2 4s now and 2 2s, so she also has a lot of damage potential up right now. So now it's my turn to make a decision whether or not I'm going to try and go for the kill and ignore all these creatures that could potentially, reverse the game, or am I going to focus down and kill all these creatures?
What now?
They'll never know what hit.
So what I decided to do is kind of play a blend of both strategies and kind of beef up my board with minions, deal damage to the hero, and also present a threat to where next turn I can kill her or eliminate all of her creatures. So instead of attacking me now, I'm hoping that she'll attack my creatures on the board. Because at this point, they all make good trades.
Pandaria will be ours!
And just what I was hoping for, she goes ahead and kills off the board, avoiding me. And now I draw into a silence. And at this point, it's basically game over because I've got the Arcanite Reaper and the silence to deal with that taunt. So I play the Arcanite Reaper after kind of studying the situation a little bit, and I just go ahead and decide to play the Arcanite Reaper, armor up a little bit, and unless she has a taunt or an acidic goo creature that could destroy my weapon, I've won the game.
Enter the shadows.
And if I remember right, I think she rage quits here. After playing all of her cards, attacking me fully, just rage quits. That seems to be like kind of a thing that's been happening to me lately. Not because I'm just oh so good, but just kind of what people have been doing. It's just really frustrating. I don't know why people do that. They play their whole turn out and then just quit. But anyways, we're 4-1, and I couldn't be happier, so on to the next fight.
Versus Valera.
Again, I'm terrible at memorizing my opponent's names. In fact, I rarely even look at them, so I thought it was the same rogue, just like I thought I had the same hunter under my first two fights. Unfortunately, I draw into all late game cards, and although I like to have that Blood Knight in my hand early on, I draw into an excellent starting hand. The 3-1 Crusader is pretty good in the beginning. Argent Crusader, or Argent Defender, is amazing.
The pleasure is mine.
He could come out in the next two draws instead, but, you know, you can't be completely precise with this. I get that early charge at Murloc, which is great. The Axe, which is still my favorite opening card. And I get Gorehowl, which is actually terrible right now. I don't need that at all. But she plays a Divine Shield minion, and of course, shaking my head, wishing I kept the Blood Knight, but, you know, hindsight's 20/20. And do any of you guys like to click on every little doodad on the screen? That's just something I always tend to do, and then I like to turn, especially on this is probably my favorite board, but I like to turn the little hide down there into a zebra hide. It's just kind of like tradition. This game makes you superstitious like Vegas. Like, you kind of have to do the same thing every time, or else, you know, oh my god, the RNG gods are going to betray me or something. But anyways, I play the 2 cost charge and attack the rogue, thinking that she'll use her minion to kill it because she doesn't want to take another 2 to the face. However, if memory serves me right, I think she just attacks me. And she also has an extremely good opening hand. She's got that 1-1 with Divine Shield, which is great. She's got the Knife Juggler, and with the weapon in her hand, she has a 2-1 charge card. So that's really nice. So she has one of the better opening hands she could have as a rogue. So this is a really even match right off the beginning, right in the beginning, just because I have an excellent opening hand minus Gorehowl, and I'm sure she is in the same situation based on the cards that she's played so far. But an easy choice for me, trade the 2-1, 2 cost for the 3 cost Knife Juggler. Just an easy choice for me. Still think she should have attacked the charging 2 cost 2-1 Murloc with her 1-1 Divine Shield minion. But her choice. Then she buffs up with a combo card her Sea Hand, which is brutal. Brutal. But again, makes for an easy choice on who to attack. I don't know if she could have done it to the Divine Shield minion, but she should have, because that was an easy trade for me. Now I've got a pretty loaded hand right now, so I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to deal with all these little creatures. So I go ahead and play my 4 costs for the 2 minions just to get some more creatures on the board, trying to get some board control back. And at the last minute I decide to attack the 2/1 Murloc just to reduce her chances of killing or wiping my side of the board. And luckily I did, because she drops the War Leader, which is one of my least favorite cards in the game, just because it buffs all Murlocs, but in her case it worked out pretty well. And clearly, by this point, judging from the fact she hasn't attacked any of my creatures, she's trying to rush me down. So I play the Argent Defender, which is an excellent card. And since I've got 2 taunts now, instead of attacking her creatures anymore, I go ahead and attack her, just because next turn she'll be forced to find a way through my taunts in order to continue to try and rush me down.
Enter the shadows.
Okay, another combo card's played. And in my opinion, that's what she should have done originally, because if she had done that originally, it would have forced me to deal with that 1/1 Divine Shield minion, but she doesn't. However, now I've got a damaged minion, so I can play my Rampage ability. And this is really pumping up my damage, and she still has no taunts on the board. So, really considering now, the kill might be in hand, especially with Gorehowl next turn. So I go ahead and get rid of the one creature that can kill me right now. Buff up my Frothing Berserker, and attack with a 6 damage. Because next turn, it should be over, barring, you know, some crazy good taunt, or some sort of removal. And that seals the deal. Buffed up my Frothing Berserker again. Still no taunt.
Bring me steel.
Swordsmith is out. And that's game over. Very quick, very good game. Very proud of that one. We both had great hands early on. I think there's just a few misplays on her part, which caused me to win. Alright, we finally get the dreaded Priest. I hate facing Priests in Arena. They've got the greatest base deck of cards to deal with. And I get dealt probably one of my worst, actually my worst starting hand so far in this Arena Battles episode. Gorehowl, Arcanite Reaper, both useless early on, and the 4 cost charge, which is good. Good turn 4. Also kind of situational, however. But then I get dealt again Gorehowl, yikes, and the Gurubashi Berserker late game, the Strengthhorn Tiger mid game, and the Commander card, which you need early game minions if you're going to play it early game with that in order to make it useful. And pretty much the only card I get right now that I can even use is the War Axe. And then I draw into every single weapon that I drafted. Both the Fiery War Axe, Gorehowl, and the Arcanite Reaper. So then I debate playing the Charge card, but, I mean, that'd be a desperation move and be a waste early on, so I'll go ahead and just pop that creature. Don't want to risk it getting buffed up. And I love board control because my my strategy is just minion rush and just board dominance pretty much the whole game. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose. So just spin the turn by. And another reason I attack with the War Axe on that weak creature that many would probably consider a waste is because I also have 2 other weapons that I'm gonna have to burn through, and having those 2 cards just sit in my inventory or my deck wasted is just, it's not worth it. So, knowing that I have pretty good board control with all of my removal cards, you know, my weapons in my hand, I go ahead and play the charge card. That way, depending on what he plays next turn, I can either do a Gurubashi Berserker if it's a weak damage card with high health, like the 1/7 taunt, stuff like that, or I can go ahead and play the Stranglethorn Tiger in case she plays or he plays nothing, and I can just do some good direct damage. But unfortunately, from Thoughtsteel, he had Sap or Slam, gets a card draw, and in addition to that, uses Holy Smite to remove the charge. Kind of annoying, but it's expected that they're going to try to get rid of that ASAP. And then this priest keeps on thought stealing. I mean, that's good to play early on and all, but in your deck full? Let's see. One. Yeah, his deck is nearly full. So I don't know about that one. Get the silence, which is always good to have. Because of the weak damage out on the board, I go ahead and play the Berserker. And now I'm debating whether or not to attack the Tiger. And I go ahead and do it because I know that those are two very, very powerful minions on the board. And he's going to try and use removal on at least one of them. So it's better to have two targets out there. That way, next turn, depending on what he leaves alive, I can go ahead and attack with either some decent damage or just have that really beefy, strong Berserker. However, he plays the Taunt, which is a great play right now, actually, and silences the Berserker, so his mindset is that if I'm going to get through that wall, I'm going to have to burn both cards, which is smart. And in the process, my Berserker won't get beefed up. So I go ahead and hit him with the Berserker since he's essentially useless now. And I could have used Arcanite Reaper on it, but I go ahead and use Execute just because I consider that a fairly important creature, and wasting an Execute on it won't be too detrimental, especially since now I have board control, solid board control, and I still have two very, very powerful removals in my deck along with the silence. So I've pretty much got all the support I need for what's on the board. Now I've just got to hold my position and just keep wailing away at his health.
I wonder.
What we do.
And then with a good move on his part, puts up that taunt. However, I have a silence, so probably going to be pretty much over at this point for him. And then he uses another silence on the Harvest Golem, which I think is kind of a questionable choice on his part. I mean, at this point, he is kind of in desperation mode, I guess, considering the cards he's playing and the fact that, you know, if he's playing those three cards, he probably has nothing in his deck. Even though he's done Thoughtsteel twice, I'm surprised he didn't have anything. So I'll go ahead and get the Slam, get the Frothing Berserker, which could not have been better timed. So now I'm starting to do the math here a little bit, seeing what I need to do in order to kill him. I pretty much spend the turn beefing up all my creatures and then attacking with the Tiger. Barring a Holy Nova, it's basically over. Although I think even with the Holy Nova, he would still be dead. Only problem with doing post-recordings, in addition to not having, you know, the emotion of the moment or whatever, is the fact that when I'm doing this on Windows Movie Maker, and it gives you a little picture next to, you know, what you're recording, and the picture's in like 240p, so I can't read health numbers, I can't read card description, so I forget the name of a card. I just kind of say it's the 3-cost 1/1 minion, blah blah blah. So if you're wondering why I'm really bad with names and bad with saying what his health is, that's why I can't read what's on the dadgum screen. So that's a problem. But anyways, fortunately for me, I draw into the charge and I got Gorehowl anyway. So even though he mind controlled that, which was a smart move on his part, it's over. So I go ahead and put out the well played. And proceed to whittle him down to nothing, but he rage quits. I hate that. I mean, that's not as bad as when you use all your abilities in your turns and all blah 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 blah, and then rage quit just before you kill him. Still pretty bad. But anyways, that'll do it for this episode, guys. Appreciate you watching, or this part. Appreciate you guys watching it. Stay tuned for the next part. It should be up, and probably tomorrow, or the next day. So, anyways, thanks for watching, guys.